Hello there, welcome to this very belated stat show. I've just been on holiday, busy, trying to catch up. Anyway, we're back in the saddle now, and this is 2 weeks worth of events. Thankfully, there hasn't been that many that I want to look at. But anyway, so this is the popularity breakdown. So the number is the number of occasions that faction has been taken. The percentage is what that number represents of the overall meta. This is sorted by win percentage. So Tomb Kings of Khemri have the highest win percentage, and they are 10% of the meta. But what this shows is that even like Orcs and Goblins that are towards the bottom, as are Dwarves, they're still very, very popular. Empire seem to be gradually growing in popularity, which is good. They've had a good result this weekend, so we'll have a look at that. This is the win percentage. The bar represents the actual win percentage, which is an average. So the whisker plot sort of generates the normal range for players. So that's about 2/3 of results go in the kind of the red whiskers. So that's like what we consider normal for that faction. So it's pretty normal for Khemri and Bretonnia to win 4 out of 5 games at a 5-game tournament. That's pretty normal. It's actually quite rare for these 4 factions in particular. Chaos Dwarves and Warriors of Chaos to only win 1 out of 4. So if you're within this kind of 2, 3, sometimes 4 range. Sorry, these should. So if you're going to a 2-day tournament, right, and you want to have a reasonable chance of winning 2 games at least, then these 4 factions are your best bet, basically. That's not to say, because if you look at Dark Elves, their kind of range of results is actually quite narrow. They tend to be sort of hitting that kind of 45% win rate fairly consistently, whereas there are some other factions where normal does include 1 out of 4, like Vampire counts seem to be very variable, for instance. Lizardmen seem quite very, as do Beastmen and Vampires, but I think that's because if you look at what's available for that particular faction, there is quite a selection, and you can build a whole variety of lists. Orcs and Goblins again, great amount of variability there, way more than other factions. This is the win percentage over time. This is the snapshot position of the win percentage for that faction in the actual month. So it's not cumulative, it just sort of shows that over time what factions are moving around. This line here is I'm not quite sure what colour that is. I suspect that's actually Empire, isn't it? So Empire have had 1 entry. I think Empire have only really had 1 entry this month, but it's been a 100% victory. I think we'll have a look in detail at what's actually happening in the data. There are some factions, for instance, this colour here, which was top. Tomb Kings haven't had any. I think that's not right, to be honest. I'm not sure about this chart. I'll have to. I thought I did verify everything, but maybe Tomb Kings have had entries this month, haven't they? Haven't they? Have they? I don't know, actually. I can't remember seeing any, so it might be the case that they haven't, but yeah, whatever. We'll fix that for next time. Anyway, this is the rank percentile. I've ordered it in the same order as win percentage. And what that shows is anything that's anomalous. So, for instance, Chaos Dwarves seem to win more games. So, how do I put this? Anything that's kind of like out of step. So, if this went sort of gradually downwards, this particular chart here, that would suggest that wins are translating to tournament results. However, and in general, they are. So the more games you win, the more likely you are to finish higher up in tournaments. basically how the rank percentile works is the person who comes first is the 100th percentile entry, and the person who comes last is the first percentile entry. There's no 0th percentile. So the 50th percentile is the person who finishes in the middle, for instance. So, again, vampire counts an awful lot of variability in terms of where they finish in the table. Chaos Dwarfs, however, if you look, the average percentile is lower than quite a number of factions that have lower win rates than them. So that suggests that at tournaments, they're either, when they win, it's not by very many points, and when they lose, they get absolutely smashed. So one of the two. Dwarves are the obvious. I mean, I've been talking about this for ages. They're they've got significant weaknesses, but now they've got an arcane journal. Let's see if that sorts itself out. Lizardmen actually finished quite well. They're kind of up here in terms of like tournament results, but well, I say quite well relative to their win percentage, and I just don't. I don't know what's going on with Lizardmen because they're a good faction. All the models are out, and I just don't know what's happening with them. Really, it's very odd. This chart I call all of nothing. So we've looked at like the normal range of results, we've looked at the normal range of results. This looks at the extremes. So how many times, what percentage of the time does, let's say, Beastmen players win none of their games versus winning all of their games? So this is looking at the absolute extreme. So on 1 in 10 Beastmen Brayherd players have won all of their games, whereas 1 in about 7 Beastmen Brayherd players have lost all of their games. So that shows that at the extremes, Beastmen are kind of like one of the more extreme factions. Vampire counts again. I think they've got the highest. Yeah, about 1 in 6 Vampire counts players have won all their games. So there are Vampire counts are a good faction for aiming for that 100% win, for instance. 36% of Skaven players have lost all their games. That's a really terrible stat. If you look at the other factions, for instance, that's really, really high in relation to the other factions. So Skaven are, still in a spot of bother, and I'm almost bored talking about Skaven being rubbish. They just need something. I mean, to be honest, what they need is some units with Swift Stride, because Swift Stride does seem to be the ability that makes a massive difference within this current meta. So they just need, like, some units that have that ability, or a way like the Chaos Dwarves. I mean, the Chaos Dwarves do have a Swift Stride unit, but they also have a cannon that turns off Swift Stride. So Chaos Dwarves have an ability to counter it. Dwarves, the only units that have Swift Stride are gyrocopters, but again, we haven't seen people taking loads and loads of gyrocopters yet. So, not that I think that would actually work, but the point is, dwarves don't really have an ability to turn it off, and they don't have the maneuverability to put their anvil units where they're most needed. Yeah, so I think that's all the stats, isn't it? I've been through. Oh, there's this, which is my tier sort of thing, and it's based on a composite of various results, really. But what I'm trying to sort of show is what's going on easy mode and what's hard mode. So Empire and Skaven are like God mode, and these S tier factions, they're kind of easy mode, as it were, at tournaments at least. But again, no tournament is easy. What this shows, though, actually, is that there is a bit of variability. Like Beastmen over the month of July, over the month of July, have been pretty poor. Whereas overall, they've been pretty superb. So Beastmen aren't their time in the sun has sort of maybe coming to an end. Whereas Bretonnia and Khemri have been excellent all the way through, as have Chaos Dwarfs. Cumulatively, they've dropped off a bit because they had a few bad months, but Warriors of Chaos have had a bad period of time as well. So actually, over the last month, there's been very little. That's Chaos Dwarves, Bretonnia, and Khemri have been the only things that have been really consistently good. Every other faction seems to be struggling a little bit. So that's the most of the stats. Like I said last time, I'm working on a new website, and part of that new website will be the player rankings that I've calculated, and that I'm requesting the thing to just bloody load. Individuals, here we go. Let's have a look at this. So what I've done is I've got this player score metric, which I'll just show you. Actually, it's based on like a composite of the rank percentile. So basically, how far up the table you finished, plus the total amount of points deployed at the event. So the size of the event is taken into consideration, although devalued massively, so that the rank percentile. And then I've used this kind of this degradation factor to reduce the result by time, such that effectively your result of a year ago is worth roughly what would it be, about a third of the result yesterday. So if you finished a tournament a year ago and you got first, and it would have much less impact than a tournament that finished yesterday, if that makes sense. So anyway, turning up to tournaments and winning tournaments is how the thing calculates who the best or better players are, but then takes into consideration the size of the event as well, but not massively. Anyway, so right at the top of the table, you've got Lunar Valentine. Again, Lunar typically just takes Bretonians. We can see the results just by double clicking, which is very useful. So yeah, Lunar's been to 5 events, taken Bretonia every time, won every one. 3 of them have been 5-game tournaments, 2 of them have been 3-game tournaments. If that makes sense. Let's get rid of these tables because I don't really need them anymore. Next is Phil Carl. Phil and Luna are on the same circuit. Jack Allen's an Empire player. So I mean, this is the point I keep making about like Empires. I do think they're good. I just think that people haven't got the right, haven't got the. Was he? Yeah, he was at the Gathering of Dragons and he won that one. So we'll have a look at his list and have a chat about how that works later. So, but Jack's doing very, very well indeed. Number 3. But like as you can see, doing more tournaments, obviously getting good results, but more tournaments, does bump up that player score. There's Richie. Richie's a dwarf player. He's done 3 grand tournaments and has done quite well there. Mark Wallman up there. Robbie's more or less exclusively a Lizardman player. So the point is that even the factions at the bottom of the meta, if you take them over and over and over and over and over again, and you know what you're doing, then you're going to do quite well overall. And then, like for instance, Zach and Michael, if you go to large, big events, it does have an impact on the player score. I think that kind of data will get ironed out over time, because obviously if we go a bit further down, like Matt Goldsborough has been to 1 event that I've got the results for. 2 tournaments that I've got the results for, and has finished first in both of them, and he's sort of down here. So it's difficult to build this kind of player score metric, really, because you want to take into consideration the size of the event. So winning big events is obviously more impactful than winning small events. It's harder to begin with, and secondly, but you don't want to you don't want the metric to kind of like allow people to just go to like 10 tournaments, do really badly at 10 tournaments, and then they get first because they've got a high score because of they've been to loads of tournaments. So luckily 5's the stat at the moment. As it stands, there are probably, I'd say there's a bit of duplication when people put like silly names in rather than their actual names, so there's probably a bit of duplication, but it looks like around about 1200 Warhammer players, and me, I'm well down. I'm like nearly top third, but you know, again, so yeah, I'm trying to get that so it's like accessible on Tinterwebs, basically. Anyway, let's have a look at some lists. So that's the meta part of the video. If that's all you want to talk about, that's all you want to listen to, like, subscribe, etc. But now we're going to talk about some lists and have a look at some tournament results. So the first one we're going to have a look at is MNM The Old World 2024, which was in Finland, which is here. To those of you who don't know where Finland is, I did try and zoom in and find the venue, but you can't do it. Well, I can't do it anyway. High Elf player 1, which actually is quite old. High Elves and Dwarves coming second is very interesting too, so we'll have a look at that list. And then finally, Skaven coming in third. Excellent result for Skaven. Just about met my qualifying criteria this event, but it's nice. I think it's the first event from Finland. Actually, there's been a few. Over here in Norway. I think there's been a couple in Norway. I think there's been a few in Sweden as well. So I think this is the first Finnish event, which is nice. So the Skaven player who came third, he has a Grace here, he has an engineer, he has a chieftain, he has another engineer. One of the engineers has the Ruby Ring of Ruin. They both have everything has battle magic that can. Everything's on foot. He's got some clan mats with the rattling guns, some clan mats with the rattling guns, some night runners. Not sure why they're there. Has he got some? Oh no, he does have some gutter runners as well. He's got Jezzails. Yeah, and he's allowed to do that because he's got 2 Warlock Engineers. You've got to take a Warlock Engineer to access the unit of Jezzails. He's got 4 Rat Ogres, which I think are terrible, but you know, it'd be interesting to see how well they did. Hellpit's good. Doomwheel. It's just he's just got a bit of everything. I suspect that he's quite a good player in a meta that may not be that challenging. But yeah, rattling guns are great. Yeah, I think the more rattling guns you can take, the more chance you have of winning. Realistically. But you know, maybe I'm wrong, and the perfect Skaven list is just around the corner. Let's hope. Dwarven Mountain holds Villa Millinen. Apologies for butchering your name, but congrats for coming second. He's gone for Dwarfs. I'm not sure whether this is the new list, the new stuff or not. Not sure. It looks like a normal Dwarf and Mountain Hold list anyway. But he's got a King with Shield Bearers, 3 Runes of Fury, great weapon. So he's got a great weapon with 7 attacks. Yeah. And a Rune of... is that +1 toughness? I think maybe Rune of Passage. Not sure what that does. Is that the one that moves through cover? I can't remember. He's got Anvil of Doom. He's got the Battle Standard Bearer with the Ward save, with the Master Rune of Grunyi. That gives the unit that is in a 5 at ward and units within 6 inches of him a 6 at ward against shooting only. He's got some long beards, which I think are pretty rubbish, but you know, whatever. He's got 20 ranges. I think they're excellent. I think give them all the upgrades, to be honest, is the answer. because it doesn't make them that much more expensive. And then they get like great weapons, throwing weapons. They've got crossbows. They've got ballistic skill 4, weapon skill 4, toughness 4. 4 up save in combat because they've got heavy armor and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like they provide you so much utility. Rangers are one of the best units in the dwarf roster. We got some hammerers. We got a cannon with the rune of reloading. I quite like the cannon with the rune of exploding, to be honest. I quite like a cannon with a rune of exploding and just putting it like in the middle of your army and making your enemy come to it and they have to charge it. Somebody's getting dragged around by the dog. That's funny. A couple of gyrocopters. I think they're great. And some iron drakes. Again, I think these 3 units are the strongest unit in the dwarf roster. So, just a pity you can't take iron drakes in the engineers guild, isn't it? Because I know why. Because that would be pretty much unstoppable. Right, high elf realms. Risto Tepponen won the tournament with High Elf Realms. He's got an Archmage on foot, which is level 4, Sword of Hearth, a Silvery Wand, Seed of Rebirth, Warden of Safari. He's got a Noble on a steed with a charm shield. It's interesting. He's got a Prince on a Griffin. He's got some archers. He's got some spears. He's got some silver helms. Silver helms I initially thought were pretty crap. I've been won around. I think actually, they're cheap enough and fast enough that they're fairly useful. Not as good as Laverne Seaguard for a core choice, but fairly useful. It's got some dragon princes. Tyranno chariots I think are alright. Great eagles are alright. I mean, there's nothing that's standing out as being amazing here, but well done, Risto, for winning this little tournament, and hopefully there's more to come from Finland. So well done to the organisers. Moving now to Spain, which is down here. Finland being up there. There's España. In fact, it's somewhere here, Bilbao, so it's on the north coast of Spain, so it would have been quite nice. Overlooking the Bay of Biscay. Very, very nice. The Old World U-Skull Encounter 2024. So this tournament had 18 entrants, and Raoul with the Vampire Counts comes in first. However, I don't think anybody has lists. So Nicopero and Larkin. So Larkin came in third with Demons, Wood Elves, Vampire Counts. These 2 lists I'd have loved to have seen, but there's no. I don't think anybody submitted their lists, which is, nobody has, which is very annoying. And also, like, just being their name in capitals, I was very tempted not to include this result in the data, but actually in terms of faction data it's useful, so it's in. But well done to those players, and I had fun in the sun. Old World Throwdown took place in Seattle, which is somewhere there. So if we zoom out, Seattle is here we go, right towards the northwest of in Washington State. So very nearly Canada, but not quite. Seattle. It's quite an interesting city in terms of like all the islands and all the rest. I play City Skylines, and this is getting me excited about getting back into City Skylines. Anyway, Seattle is here, run by Stefan Marmion. So, Corey Barnes, a high elf player again, but no list there. Jonathan, is this another one where there was no lists? A couple of the players dropped. Huh. But there was 10. They obviously got another couple of players last minute. But anyway, well done to Corey for taking the thing out with high elves. Jonathan and Ken, I'm sure you'll get it next time. But again, Toon Kings Beastmen. These are no strangers to the top tables. I keep saying it's surprising to see high elves winning a tournament, because actually that's been quite rare until fairly recently. So it's nice to see the high elves doing fairly well, and it's nice to see actually that people can take Tomb Kings and still finish bottom. So it just goes to show that it's not the faction that makes it. I mean, I don't know what's in Robin van Winkle's list. However, I'd suspect it's possibly suboptimal, or maybe he just got pretty unlucky. If you look at his points tallies, he didn't seem to actually kill that much. So I wonder who he played against. Robert Rogers. Oh, it doesn't say list. Robert Rogers, Timothy Synan. Timothy Synan is Chaos Dwarves. And that was his second game. But then again, Chaos Dwarves, it wasn't that far away, really, was it? The old victory there. So yeah. Anyway, World Throwdown. Well done, Corey. Well done to the organisers. Gathering of the Dragon Hunters. There's 2 weeks of tournaments that I'm going through, but thankfully it's not a lot. We'll come to that one last, because that one's a GT, i.e. a 2-day 5-game tournament. Old Grudges 2 took place in Scotland. I think this was the first tournament in Scotland. I think in there, but I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't really look big enough, does it, to do a tournament? But yeah, that took place all the way up there, which is, that's. I did want to go to a tournament in Scotland, because I quite like Scotland, but that is a very long drive from me. Edinburgh's about sort of 5 or 6 hours drive from me, but then getting from here to here is an absolute pain in the, because you got all these bloody mountains. So getting anywhere over here is an absolute pig. Takes ages. So that would be like, it's almost like a whole day of driving just to get there. So sadly, no thanks. But anyway, well done to Ben for putting this one on. Again, 10 people turned up, 2K tournament. That's where we look at the result. Mark Pete with the Champions of Destiny came in third with High Elf Realms. Ryan Savage with the Warriors of Chaos, and then Richard McDonald with the Chaos Dwarves. So Mark Pete came in third with High Elves. He's got a prince. Has he got a dragon? He's got a Frostheart Phoenix as the mount here. That's an interesting choice. He's actually gone very, very cheap with characters, which is, again, quite interesting. You don't really see that very often. It's a 1250 tournament. Okay. I shouldn't have included it in the data, because there's not enough points. But whatever. It's done now. Yeah, so we're not going to look at those lists, really, because they're not very... It's not a TK list, so it's not... Yeah, it's a very different game at that level. Grudges 2. Yeah, we just had a look at that. Right, Salt Lake Open next, which took place, probably here. I'm guessing. In this building called Administration, or maybe somewhere here in this kind of business park sort of thing. But in terms of where that is in the States, it's the world has rotated. Let's go north. Oh, I've lost it. Here we go. Was it Salt Lake City? There, Utah. So the other one was like over there. This one's here. So we're not quite covering the States today. Sometimes there's been a few in Florida and sort of over here. So there's been a lot of coastal Warhammer and a bit in the middle, to be fair. Anyway, Salt Lake Open. Josh Hartley. This is the first of the GTs we're going to look at. Josh Hartley managed to win the tournament, having won 4 games and not playing in the last one due to his results in the other 4 games. So, well done to Josh. Congratulations. Vampire Counts came first and third, which is a bit kind of, there is a build with Vampire Counts that's a bit sort of problematic. Anyway, so Josh, this is Josh who came first, and this is Colton who came third. So we've got a Master Necromancer with a Mortis engine, other Sceptre of Denaro, other stuff. Level another on Mortis, blah blah blah. White Lord with a Battle Standard Bearer, presumably because he wants to take. No, he just got a White Lord with a Battle Standard Bearer, presumably to re-roll the leadership checks to do the Resurrection, because the Resurrection ability is a leadership check. And then he's got a Banshee. Banshee's good. He's got a Terrorgeist, so he's got 4 Screams. He's got 4 Wailing Dirges there, which, you know, combined with his 2 Necromancers means that he can do some serious damage with Screams. He's got a biggest chunk of Skeleton Warriors to basically not die, and then some Blood Knights to do a bit of, like, hammering away at the enemy, some strategic charges, and the Dire Wolves, presumably to take up points and pay the core tax, because... also, you know, Dire Wolves are quite useful. Oh, God, I'm so... Got back in the gym yesterday after having taken a few months off with an injured knee, and back in the gym and rugby practice yesterday. I'm a bit broken this morning. Anyway, well done, Colton. Good result. Good list. Excellent list. Well played. Pete Ford came in second with Beastmen. Who, you know, again, you need a decent list for Beastmen, but there are plenty of decent lists. And he's gone for a Doom Bull with the Ogre Blade, the Talisman of Protection, and Slug Skin. Slug Skin's like the universal thing that everybody takes for their combat heroes, and Ogre Blade's going to make that Doom Bull really, really nasty. Great Bray Shaman with a Hag Tree Fetish, Rubric. These are all the right notes for characters. We've got a Gore Herd, which you know, some people use Gores to contain the Doom Bull. Some people use Ungores. They're both about as good as each other, to be fair. Gores are slightly better. They're just more expensive, so there's fewer of them. We've got a couple of little single Razor Gores. That's a very sensible pick because they're actually quite difficult to target, what with them being War Beasts. So technically they're unit strength 1 skirmishers, so they're -1 to hit and shooting, despite the fact they're massive and horrible. They've got impact hits and do quite a bit of damage. Excellent kind of War Machine hunters and like small screen destroyers, basically. A Tuskor Chariot. Chariots are great. It's interesting he's only got 1. He's got a little unit of Ungors with short bows. I'm not sure what their point is really, other than being a bit of a screen. He's got 2 units of 3 Dragon Ogres, a Gorgon and another Gorgon. So Gorgons I think are pretty nasty. They're not as good as normal giants, I don't think, but only just. So yeah, that's a pretty good list. But again, well played, Pete. It's always difficult to podium at a tournament, so well done. And then Josh, who won, has a Master Necromancer on a Mortis Engine and Sceptre of Denaro. He's got a Vampire Count on a Zombie Dragon with Dark Acolyte. The Armour of Destiny, I think that's the one that's a 4 at Ward, but you're stupid. Is that one? Is that one? And he's got a Battle Standard Bearer with the Armour of Meteoric Iron. Now, actually having a Battle Standard Bearer and a model that's stupid isn't that bad, because the Battle Standard Bearer in Undead allows you to re-roll all your leadership checks. So actually being stupid isn't that much of a problem if you get to re-roll it, you know, especially with like leadership 8 or 9 or whatever it is. Dark Acolyte gives him that's the one where he can do his own resurrection. So he can do Invocation of Nehek, it's called, but he gets to do it as a level 1 wizard. Despite the fact that he's not a wizard at all, he can resurrect stuff. So he can sort of fly around behind these Blood Knights and resurrect 1 plus D3 Blood Knights every turn, which is very, very good. He's got 29 Graveguard with the Drakenhof banner. This is a pretty much auto include because that gives you a 5-up regen. So you think, you know, 29 of these. I think they're toughness 4. Great weapons means they haven't got shields, so they've only got a 5-up save, but a 5-up regen is mega. Considering you got a Master Necromancer who can essentially resurrect 4 plus D3 times 2, so 8 plus 2D3 every single turn. Like, you're getting 12 of them back, so people are going to find it very difficult to chew through those Graveguard. They've got to actually kill them. You know. Although, to be fair, I've played a few games against undead, and it really does demoralise them when you manage to get a load of really key charges off and absolutely smash their big brick of stuff that they're hoping to resurrect to, and you just wipe the unit. You just see the blood drain from their face. But anyway, in this case, Josh, probably didn't happen to him, and he's got a Terrorgeist. It's not actually a massively optimized vampire count list, but I can see how these things all work together. So yeah, 21 zombies, again, that's smart because you can put that near the Master Necromancer, and if you're not in range to do any, because you might not have anything to resurrect, so he can do that 4 plus D3 times 2 on the zombies, because they can be resurrected past their starting unit size. They've got a unit cap of 40, but what that basically means is you can get them up to 30 something. Well, in fact, if you got the vampire count up around, you can use Dark Acolyte to do that again. So you can probably get them up to about 40 models on turn 1. So you can get those 19 more or less straight away. So that's pretty good. So that's a pretty good list. Actually, I can see why everything's in there. It makes sense. Cool. And Rank and Flank GT, I just wanted to have a bit of a mention. They've not put the game results, but anyway, Rank and Flank GT took place in Ireland, in Dublin. If the organisers are on, please let them publish the results so that we can see who did what. But anyway, well done to Corey Malloy for coming in first, James McDonnell taking second, and Emmett Tyrrell for taking third. Third with Lizardman. That's really interesting. The reason I'm looking at this is because you can see the lists. Cool. So we've got a Slann with Higher State of Mind, which is ethereal, I believe. We've got a Skink Priest on a Stegatron with an Engine of the Gods. Typically, Priest is the wizard, isn't it? Yeah, it's Chief that you have to take to make Battle Standard Bearer. I tend to put a Chief on a Stegadon to make a BSB, basically. Saurus Scarvet. A Scarvet and a Carnosaur. Carnosaurs are nasty. Having a Scarvet or an Old Blood, it doesn't make a massive difference, to be honest. We've got some Saurus Warriors. I think they're really nice in terms of models and thematically and all the rest, and I've got loads of them, but they're just a bit rubbish. We've got some Skink Skirmishers, lots of them. Skink Skirmishers are pretty good due to poison. We've got a Bastillodon. You want to take more than one, really. If you've got 3, you probably want to take 3 because they're amazing. I just got some Cold One Riders, which, pardon me, I think are pretty good. So actually, all in all, that's a pretty decent list. So for Lizardman, anyway. The problem with the Slann Mage Priest is that the Slann Mage Priest is an auto include because it's the only way that you get access to a level 4 wizard. The downside being that he's a bloody large target, so he just gets shot at by everything, and that's why you have to take the ethereal upgrade so that essentially people shooting at him, they've got to have magical attacks to do it, and there's not an awful lot of magical shooting attacks in the game. But there are some, so you still, you got to be careful with the old Slann. Right, so let's go. I don't know why it says Boston. This is 126 Lower Parliament Street. This is where, through that door there, is where Rob Symes does all his stuff. So there's a studio and stuff up there, and down here has been converted into gaming space as well. And if you're going, you can park there. This parking's quite expensive, but it's just over the road, so all the rest is double yellows. And they do have traffic wardens, so you can't. But anyway, if you want to see, well, it's in Nottingham, so it's. I'm sure everybody has looked at Nottingham before, mainly because of Lenton, which is where Warhammer World is. But here we go, Nottingham in the UK. Oh look, it's got a weird orientation. There we go. So that's where I am, actually. That's where I live. But here's Nottingham. Right. Gathering of Dragon Hunters. So this was a GT 2-day tournament. 16 people entered. You got Jack Allen of Morpheus Gaming taking the win. Well done, Jack. Richie Amflet of Knights of the Shire with Dwarven Mountain Holds coming in second. Well done, Richie. And Michael Appleton bringing up third with the Beastmen Brayherds. So in terms of the Beastmen list, he's got Great Bray, Shaman with a Hagtree Fetish, Ruby Ring of Ruin, Talisman of Protection, Elementalism. In a Chariot, actually, you not massively common to see them in a Chariot, but it does happen fairly frequently. We've got a War Goal, which is a BSB with Slug Skin. Slug Skin is -1 to hit the model and the unit they're in, which is it's the and the unit they're in, which I think is slightly broken. But we've got a Doom Bull with the Black and Play, Ogre Blade, Enchanted Shield, Gnarled Hide. So this is essentially all working to make his armor save better. I think Black and Plate might be 5 up or 4 up or whatever. Enchanted Shield, 3. Gnarled Hide is an extra +1. I think he might have a 2 up save now. And the Ogre Blade is pretty nasty because, you know, it's a massive thing that does a load of damage. But you know, is one-handed, so you can take a shield with it as well. Doom Bull can, I presume Doom Bulls can take shields, which is why he's gone for the Enchanted Shield. He's gone for the Enchanted Shield, so he's got a little bit of a ward save, but it's not great. Then he's got some gore, a Gore Herd to stick the 2 heroes in. Then he's got some Razor Gores. You know, again, we saw this with the other list. Tuskor Chariot, couple. Oh, he's got a Razor Gore Herd with 2 Razor Gores in, and a Razor Gore Herd with 2 single Razor Gores. Okay, probably had some spare points at the end. Another Tuskor Chariot. Chariots are great. A couple of units of Dragon Ogres. They're pretty good too. Just the one Gorgon, modest one Gorgon here, and some Harpies, which I think are fantastic. They've got a lot of utility. Basically, what you do with your Harpies is you put them behind a unit that you're going to charge, or that's charged you, and you're locked in combat with. Because if you win, they have to fall back in good order through the Harpies, and then like on a 1 to 3, models are lost. So if you're very careful with how you place your Harpies, you can be forcing your opponent to 50-50 the lives of their most elite units. Richie has been doing very, very well with Dwarves, so it's really interesting to see what he's been taking. He's got a Thane with a great weapon, full plate armor, Shield Bearers, so not a King but a Thane, so he's looking to save a few points. He's got the Master, this is the Battle Standard Bearer on some Shield Bearers. Interesting. With the Master Rune of Grunyi, the Rune of Battle, and Strolaz Rune. Strolaz Rune is Vanguard move, I think. Master Rune of Grunyi is the 5-up ward thing with a 6-inch aura of a 6-up ward against shooting. And he's got a Rune of Battle, which is +1 combat res. So there's quite a lot going into that Thane. You've got an Anvil of Doom, which is pretty standard, with a Rune of Preservation, which... what's Rune of Preservation? That's +1 toughness, isn't it, I think? We've got a Runesmith with 2 basically old-fashioned Dispel Scrolls, and then you've got a Thane with... he's got the new Dwarf stuff, with a Rune of Rapid Fire, Rune of Accuracy, and a Master Rune of Bursting Flame. Rune of Accuracy is you don't suffer any negative modifiers to your hits. So he's BS4, so he's always hitting on 3s. Rune of Rapid Fire means he's got Quick Shot and he takes 2 shots. And Bursting Flame means that his crossbow does D3 hits per hit. So he's got 2 shots hitting on 3s. They do D3 hits, D3 crossbow hits. So you got a Thane is 136 points. That's more or less the same as having... more or less the same as having about 15-20 Quarrelers, but in one model that's quite difficult to target and can go in a unit, which is pretty cool. Cool, so he's got a couple of units of Longbeards. Here's me saying I don't think they're very good, and he's got 2 units of them, so clearly I'm wrong. They've got drilled, and they've got great weapons and shields. So they've got a 4-up save against shooting, probably 5-up in combat, but it does give you that option in combat to go for that. He's got some Iron Drakes. He's got a small unit of Rangers. He's got a couple of Grudge Throwers, a Dwarf Cart. It's a Bugman's Cart to give him +1 move. Now, Now, Iron Drakes are very good. The Trollhammer torpedoes aren't mandatory, but Iron Drakes are just very good. I just wonder. He's got nothing to deal with like dragons and monsters, apart from, Iron Drakes, obviously. And just combat res. That's really. I wonder how he did so well, because there's not really a lot in there that's like. Sid Razavi. Where's Sid? Hey? Oh, there. Warriors of Chaos. So we managed to beat Warriors of Chaos first off. Yeah, Chaos always struggle with dwarves a little bit. They're the kind of. And then he beat Edward Fawcett, who's playing Skaven. And then he beat Michael Appleton, who's playing Beastmen. And then he beat Jack Allen, who is playing. Then he lost to Jack Allen, who won the whole tournament. And then he beat Stephen Stephen Carpenter, who's playing Orc and Goblin Tribes, who did have the Wyvern, so he did have a dragon of sorts, and lots of shooting. So yeah, I'd be really. He didn't come across like. I think Richie didn't come across like Chaos Lord or did he actually? Because he would play Chaos first. I say that. What did Sid have? He did come across the Chaos Lord and the Dragon. I wonder how he dealt with that, because he's not got a lot of high strength stuff, so I don't know how he kind of actually managed to do a wound on it. Basically, really interesting. So yeah, I'd be really interested to find that out. Jack Allen came first with Empire, and again, like I keep saying, I don't think Empire are terrible. I just think the people haven't got the cool stuff. He's gone for a general on a Griffin with a white cloak, silver horn. I forget what they do actually. Warham's books. Good guys. Let's have a look. So he's got a power scroll, a lore familiar, and a power scroll. So he's got a spell from the Law of Illusion that he desperately wants to get off every single turn. I wonder what it is. But illusion actually, because illusion you typically take for spectral doppelganger. But he's not going to have that because it's just a wizard lord on foot. So that's not the spell he's after. But he's got a particular spell that he needs to. Is it the one that stops your opponent from charging? Because that one is awful. Like in terms of a game-breaking spell, and you just don't see it being taken very often. Which I just think is a bit weird because being able to turn off somebody's charges is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I'll do it on this screen because then you can see what I'm faffing about at, can't you? I want to go all the way down to illusion. Maybe Column of Crystal? No, I think it's this. I think it's Miasmic Mirage. 15 inches, -2 move, and then also can't charge. I think it's this. I think it's this. Oh, and back to Richie. I mean, one of the things he will be doing, and this is why he's got 2 units of drilled longbeards, is that he'll be setting them up in like a marching column to begin with. The Bugman's cart gives them +1 move, so they now move 4. He can then move them forward 12, right? In fact, Strolaz's rune means with the unit with a Thanen, he can take a 4-inch move to begin with because of Vanguard move. Then he can move them forward 12, so he's 16 inches on. And then he can use the Anvil of Doom to make them move again, and which means he can then reform and march them 8. So he can get sort of 24 inches onto the table with 1 unit of dwarves in 1 turn, and that'll catch people off. So he'll be able to get stuck into the flanks with a semi-decent unit of longbeards. They're not, they can't really take on anything significant, but he'll be. Oh jeez, sorry, I'm so stiff. Right, Jack Allen's list. managed to win. So he's got. Oh yeah, I was looking at White Scroll and Silver Horn, wasn't I? See what they White Cloak, sorry, and Silver Horn. To see what they do. So the White Cloak is a 5 at ward and a 3 at ward against flaming. Okay, cool. And Silver Horn is re-roll the d6 when using the Swift Stride special rule. Okay. So it just makes charging a bit more reliable. Which, to be fair, you probably want, because you probably want him getting into combat. This looks very much like a stick it on the flank and, you know, it'll munch stuff across. So he's got a couple of captains. One's got the Ruby Ring of Ruin. One's got the Dragon Bow. He's got 3 engineers with grenade launching blunderbuss. He's got 3 engineers and 5 war machines. I suspect what he's doing here is he'll set up like 2 Hellblasters, 3 cannons, and then 3 engineers dotted around. And then this kind of or maybe he's got them spread out across the army. I mean, I'd concentrate them because it's gonna. You can basically make sure that people can't kill it all in the game. But also, like, if your opponent gets into charge range, they just get absolutely mullered with, you know, 3 lots of grape shot and essentially 6 artillery dice worth of strength 5 nonsense. Do you know what I mean? This is a horrendous thing to look at. And then he's got some knights to just sort of get in the way, run a bit of interference. He's then got some archers. 312, yeah. 389, 391, 461. Yeah, it's literally this is his core tax here. So a few units of archers who have these 2 units have scouts, so he can start to gum up the table early, and then essentially these Empire Knights allowing drilled means he can go in a 2x3, and that means he can make a 21-inch move before. So he can really sort of spread stuff out across the table and make it very difficult for his opponent to get into his gun line. But then, you know. And obviously he's very good at maximising the utility out of his gun line, to be honest. But this just looks like a little castle that he's going to stick into a corner and then use this kind of stuff to make sure that he's got several rounds of shooting. Because if the shooting fails... And he's got the Griffin, which, you know, full plate, shield, you know, full 3-up save... Toughness 5. I mean, that should go down quite quickly, even with a 5 at ward. Silver horn means it's going to be charging. So, you know, I guess if you're going to kill something, and this stopping units from charging is absolutely critical, which is why he's got the power scrolls. Because as soon as somebody gets in charge range, if he can say, nope, you're not charging me, then they get another round of shooting against it. So it's all of this is engineered to stop people getting into this artillery piece. It's really, really smart list, actually. Well done, Jack. And well done, Jack, for obviously wielding it appropriately and taking out the tournament. So well done, Jack. That's an excellent result. Really interesting list. Yeah, well done. Right, and ladies and gentlemen, that's ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why my accent did that. That's this. So what's on this weekend? Let's have a quick look at what's on this weekend, and I shall hopefully do a Matar show about that soon. Let's do that. So we've got a tournament. So we've got Warhammer Old World action going off in. We've got. What the hell's that? Spain, Australia, Sweden, one in England. Ooh. Oh, I can't do that. I'm busy this weekend. Oh, I can't do that. Why did Rob do 2 bloody 2-day tournaments on the 2 weekends in August that I can't do? Very annoying. And we've got an Old World tournament with over at Just Play Games. We've got stuff going off in New Jersey, Ontario, Vancouver. More in Vancouver, actually. 2 going off in Vancouver. Then we've got the Owl again, which is in California. Old World League, I think that stands for. I can't remember. Metropolis Centre in Spain again. Quite a lot of Old World going off in Spain. A bit more in Canada. So there's quite a lot in Canada in the States and a bit in England. So there's an awful lot going on this weekend. So I'm glad I didn't wait until after the weekend to do this video, because I've been way too busy. But there's a lot happening over the weekend. So yeah, get down and play some Warhammer. And yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to say toodaloo. If you'd like the video, there's a button to express that. If you've got this far in the video, you've not subscribed, you probably should. Well, unless you spent the last hour ranting at the the thing, saying, "Dan, you're a tosser, you got it all wrong." That is your want, if that's what you want to do. But yeah, anyway, it's been interesting having a look at what's happening over the last couple of weekends. It will be interesting to see how the dwarves shape up, because I think what we saw from like Bretonnia and Khemri is that their arcane journals definitely made them better, but also their entire model range is out, so people can buy the stuff that's good. Orcs and Goblins, there are some good lists in it, but it's quite difficult to wield. And Orcs and Goblins aren't tearing away with the meta. So they've got an arcane journal with a load of stuff in it that looks incredibly broken, but they're not breaking the meta yet. So that's really interesting, despite the fact that almost all their models are out, which is a bit weird. So it'll be really interesting to see whether the same is true of dwarves. And especially with the dwarves, because we've got more or less enough data of dwarves before the arcane journal that we can do a comparison of before and post with dwarves to see if it has actually made a difference, whether it has actually improved them or not. And that's one of the comparative statistics that I would be really interested in doing later on as we get a bit further down the line. But we need more data to do that. It's very difficult to sort of say at this stage. Orcs and Goblins, sadly, there wasn't quite enough data beforehand to make those stats particularly reliable, so I just didn't do it. Anyway, time for me to go, I think. Toodaloo.